institutional reform, recovery of social cohesion, and trust and international cooperation. The aptly named Operación Limpieza, or Operation Clean, has led so far to the indictment of a top federal prosecutor, the chief of the Mexican Interpol, and several dozen other public officials. The judicial system is in process of radical transformation. The core of the reform includes a shift from an inquisitorial system to an adversarial one, including the introduction of oral trials by 2016. Actually, a group of Mexican prosecutors received training regarding these topics here in Colorado in a special program delivered by the Office of the Attorney General recently. Local police force are being purged from corrupt elements. Within 3 years, all 375,000 municipal and state police officers will go through vetting procedures, including a strict polygraph tests. The fight against organized crime is producing tangible results. Since December 2006, Mexican security forces have detained almost 60,000 individuals linked to the drug trafficking organization, roughly equivalent to the size of all Central American armed forces. In 2 years, more than 33,000 firearms had been seized. That arsenal is roughly 4 times the number of weapons confiscated from the Revolutionary Armed Force of Colombia, FARC, in 2008. Drug seizures are at an all-time high. For example, cocaine seizures are 50% above the levels of the 2 previous administrations. As a result, the Mexican government prevented 231 million personal doses from reaching consumers. Mexico is also dismantling the command, control, and intelligence structures of criminal gangs, confiscating 314% more aircraft, 89% more cars, and 5% more boats. The number of confiscated boats is equivalent to twice the size of the fleet of the Mexican Navy. The number of the airplanes size is equivalent to 52% of the American Airlines fleet and 76% of the Delta's fleet. The clampdown of synthetic drugs is equally impressive. In 2 years, 67 labs have been closed down. Over 16 tons of pseudoephedrine has been seized 4 times more than the previous administration. The overall security and defense budgets had been increased by 31% in real terms during 2009, which is an important increase for key security agencies. A large majority of Mexicans support the fight against organized crime. In particular, there is widespread support for the presence of the armed forces in states where there are ongoing operations against criminal gangs. By all significant measures, Mexico has a functioning state, and it does face major challenges. In many issue areas, but the Mexican government has a clear and firm commitment to address them. The struggle against organized crime is only part of a global strategy to improve the opportunities Mexico has to offer to its people and to the world. Now, let's see how the government is dealing with the macroeconomics. For example, in 2004, more than 95% of its public debt was denominated in dollars, and by 2008, only 57% was dollar-denominated. This reduced the effect of exchange rate swings on Mexico public finances and attests to the confidence that both national and foreign investors have in the peso. In fact, in 2008, the government successfully issued a 32-year bond denominated in pesos with a yield just 170 points above US Treasury bonds. Regarding public income, it has been on the rise on the past 10 years, and inflation has remained in low levels as a result of responsible fiscal and monetary policies. Speaking of trade, let's bring the attention to Colorado. As Mexico, as this state are important partners. Among all countries, Mexico was ranked as the second largest market for goods from Colorado in 2008, up from the 7th place in 1993, illustrating the impact of the North America Free Trade Agreement for the state's growing businesses. In 2008, Colorado's exports to Mexico reached $961.3 million, an increase of $806.6 million from the level in 1993. And Colorado's exports to Mexico have grown at an annual average rate of 13% in the 15 years of NAFTA. Especially in 2008, exports to Mexico increased by 1.2% with respect to the previous year. Since NAFTA, Colorado's exports to Mexico have increased by 521.5%, while those to the rest of the world rose 118.3%. The export growth rate to Mexico is more than 4 times higher than its export growth rate for the rest of the world. Mexico accounted for 12.5% of Colorado's export worldwide in 2008. In the same year, there were an estimated 2,888 jobs in Colorado that were directly related to its export and manufactured goods to Mexico. If we take a look to a larger picture, in 2007, Mexico received foreign direct investment of more than $23 billion, the highest level of FDI received since 2001. The estimate for 2008 is $21.5 billion. In 2008, Mexico bought $140 billion worth of US goods. That is more than UK, France, Netherlands, and Belgium combined. Since NAFTA, US exports to Mexico have increased at an annual average rate of 8.4%, surpassing its total export growth rate reached in the same period. Mexico accounts for 13% of US exports of agricultural products worldwide, 21% of US auto parts, 18% of fabricated metal products, 19% of audio and video equipment, and 25% of electrical equipment and components. Some of the best opportunity sectors to invest in Mexico are information technology, aerospace, electric and electronics, construction and infrastructure, food and drinks, agricultural and industrial products, plastic and rubber, furniture, and energy. Let's take a look to our active manufacturing industry. These are figures from 2008. On car manufacturers, its export exceeded $55 billion. 1 out of every 10 cars and 1 out of 4 televisions sold in the United States are made in Mexico. Also in 2008, Mexico manufactured and exported 80 million mobile telephones. Regarding the aerospace industry, Mexico, which it is more than 190 companies, is the 6th largest supplier to Europe and 9th to the United States. All these figures support a vibrant economy that, according to a recent study by Goldman Sachs, by 2040, Mexico will be one of the world's 5 largest economies. Right now it is the 9th. Mexico is an open economy. We have commercial treaties with 44 countries where we are able to reach about 1 billion consumers and take part of 75% of the world's GDP. That's how in 2008, Mexico was ranked as the 8th largest exporting country in the world, exporting more than $272 million globally. Petroleum and tourism are our country's main sources of income. We are the 6th largest oil producer, and on the other hand, we are proud to be one of the top 10 tourism destinations in the world. Only last year, Mexico received 21 million tourists with an economic spend for at least $12 billion. Mexico has a wealth of historical, archaeological, and cultural sites, as well as natural beauty and gastronomy. Also, currently, there are important infrastructure projects that will help the tourism industry in Mexico be the ideal destination for retirees and families looking for a second home or wishing to settle in the country. We have the 4th largest biodiversity in the world, including more than 7,000 miles of coast, forest,